Welcome to another very fun TFL Talking Trucks podcast in the wild, on the road. And this episode is all about brand new 2024 Ford off-road trucks. Specifically, this is an event that's focused on the latest updates of the Ford F-150, including the Tremor that's next to me right now, and also the entire F-150 Raptor lineup. There's a lot going on with the Raptor trucks for 2024. And there are a few updates here for the Tremor as well. And I haven't forgotten about FX4 trucks. Of course, Ford still has that. But FX4 is a slightly different story. So this podcast is mostly going to be focused on Tremor and Raptor trucks, including the Raptor R. So it's going to be in kind of a two-part situation. I apologize, I don't have Nathan here with me, but I can show you around the Tremor. I'm also going to interview, in the second half of this episode, Carl Widman, who is the chief engineer of Ford Performance, and the Raptor trucks are part of his team's responsibilities. And I'm going to ask Carl, is it worth upgrading to a 2024 F-150 Raptor? Did they really change it that much? So stay tuned for that. I'm going to include a full interview for you right there. But let's kick it off. I mean, if you're just listening to this podcast, thank you. If you're watching also, this is a tiny bit more visual because I can show you a few things around this F-150 Tremor, starting with the styling. And of course, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/TFLcar is our only page. This is where you can become a member, actually paid or unpaid. And if you are donating a little bit, you can also get previews of our upcoming videos, our video series, and get early access to those before it goes public. Or you can also ask us questions, give us feedback, and we'll be very watchful of that, and we'll try to respond to you very, very fast. So let's kind of kick this off. We're actually standing outside in California on Burns Trail. So this is Burns Mountain Road. And this is what's something called a coral mine or coral area. The sand looks really, really reddish or almost pinkish in this area. And we're near Big Bear. And for 2024, Ford has updated the Tremor styling. So if you're looking on this truck head on, you will notice an updated grille, updated badging. So the Ford logo has a new look to it. They still have this kind of yellow-orange accents throughout the grille and also on the headlamps. I apologize, this truck has been through almost an hour or maybe 2 hours of off-roading, so it's very dusty. But you can kind of tell the face of this truck is new. The hood really kind of follows on to where F-150 Tremor was before, and the Tremor trim level is really its own trim, and it's kind of in the middle of Ford's F-150 lineup. So it's not a work truck, obviously. It's a little bit more premium, but it's also not a Raptor. And it has very unique trim and color palette. You can order most of F-150 colors and a couple of unique colors as well. And this hood have some vents on both sides of the hood, so it has a little bit of an aggressive appearance. But of course, it's not a full-on Ford F-150 Raptor hood with a giant bulge on top of it. So the look and feel is different up front. Then a big deal for off-roaders, they updated the front bumper. It's now modular, so the center section of the bumper right there, it's steel. And then it has modular end caps, so the section around the fog lamp down below is also very tough. And there is, of course, toe points, big squared off toe points, and skid plates down below.
Hey, podcast listeners and TFL Talk viewers. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about a quick and simple way to sell your car or truck with the help of our new partner, HighRoad. With HighRoad's online portal, you enter your vehicle's VIN number or plate, mileage, and zip code, and you'll get competing offers from several qualified dealers in your area within seconds. You pick the best deal offered and follow through with the dealer to sell your vehicle. No more managing scammy emails from buyers on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. No more time wasted on no-show buyers. No bait and switch with a "will you take a check" excuse from sketchy buyers. Now keep in mind, these offers will be for trade-in values of your vehicle. If you want to go through the hassle of getting more for your vehicle, that's up to you. But if you want to sell your vehicle hassle-free and fast, go to tfltruck.com and click Sell Your Truck in the navigation menu. Or click on the HighRoad ad at the bottom of the website if you're on mobile, or click on the column if you're on a desktop. HighRoad makes it easy, and we like easy.
Oh, here's another truck coming down, actually. You can kind of see it coming down this hill. We're in the convoy of several trucks driving together. So this front bumper on the new Tremor is unique, and you can accessorize it. You can see both locations right here near the top of the bumper in the center. So you could put kind of a push bar attachment. It also comes with a Ford Performance winch that actually bolts onto the outside of this bumper. I don't have a truck with a winch here in this group, but we showed that to you before in several other videos. You can equip it with a winch. So you can have different equipment and accessories, which I like. Now, before I get to what's powering this truck, let's look at the tires, because the tires are super, super important for any off-roader. These are basically the same as before, and the styling of the wheel itself is about the same as before. General Grabber ATX tires. So they're still pretty tough, fairly aggressive tires, and it's basically a 33-inch tall tire, maybe a tiny bit less. It's a 275/70 R18. You could see it right here. Right there. Then, as far as springs and shocks, let's take a wide view of this truck from a profile. It doesn't use any other partner name brand shocks. So there's no, Fox shocks under this truck. It's Ford kind of tuning and Ford design, but this truck has a slightly higher ride height than other F-150s, and it's also raked. So in the front here, you can kind of see it in profile. The front is a smidge lower than the rear, and Ford's been doing that for quite some time. And it's partially because the Tremor also tries to be an all-around 4x4 pickup truck. And as soon as you put full payload in this bed, it has about, 1,500 pounds of it, 1,500 or 1,400 pounds of payload. I'll show you that in a second. That will level out this truck. So that's what Ford's been doing. They do something similar on the Ford Ranger. They do something similar on a lot of other F-150s. And it's the same thing here. And this truck is pointing slightly downhill. So it's slightly exaggerated as far as kind of its rake. But as soon as you put weight on it, it's going to level out. Because it has between 1,400 and 1,500 pounds of payload, but also about 10,200 pounds of towing capacity. So it doesn't have the top F-150 numbers. It's a little bit more of a compromise, but 10,000 pounds, in my opinion, that's still plenty for a 4x4 half-ton full-size truck. Now here in the back, we have updated tail lamps. So the entire F-150 range now gets updated tail lamps. When I first saw it, a few months back, when they showed the design, it kind of looked like an F-150 Lightning electric truck light with kind of this hockey stick design in the back. But they kind of continued this design across the lineup, and it's growing on me, and I quite like it. And of course, it has technology integrated into it, like the radar system here in the back. This truck has bed utility package, which means it has a new fancy tailgate. So this tailgate opens in a couple different ways. Can be powered down, and we had a question from one of you. Somebody wrote us in and said, will Ford has various options for tailgates in their Tremor lineup for 2024 and beyond? And the answer is yes. I spoke with the chief marketing person and also the chief engineer of the F-150 lineup yesterday, and they told me if you don't buy the bed utility package that this truck right here I'm showing you has, you will have a standard tailgate with a step built into the tailgate that you used to before. This tailgate is a little bit different. It still has the points for clamps where you can attach, I don't know, maybe a piece of wood you're working on back here. It has a measuring stick built into the top here of the open tailgate here. So it still has a couple of features, but then it does something else interesting. You click this button on the driver's side and the center section opens like a barn door. So there's two ways to access this bed. So it's kind of a tailgate war situation, right? GM has their solution with multi-folding tailgates, and then Ram has an option for barn-style door, two swing-out tailgate doors, and Honda Ridgeline has their solution with a swing-away, and now this is Ford's solution. So it's kind of the center portion of the tailgate that opens, and then it opens in several different indentations, basically. So it has kind of a stopper at around 37 degrees open to kind of avoid a trailer jack that maybe if you're towing a trailer and it may be behind you, has a 70 degree and a full 100 degrees. So it doesn't open all the way, but it goes past 90 degrees a little bit. And then there is a side or a back step hiding underneath the rear bumper, kind of by the hitch. So it makes it I believe this is optional. It's not included in the tailgate package. And it makes it very easy to step in the truck and get something from the bed and put something, back into it. So very cool. Also, the Tremor has these really handy tow points in the back. Very similar. It reminds me of a Raptor truck, actually. And then twin exhaust pipes coming out the bumper, which is also kind of a Raptor thing. I mean, Ram trucks do something similar in their design with round tailpipes, and the Tremor has very similar design. Now, let me walk around this way before I show you the technology of this truck, which it has a lot. Let me pop the hood and let's talk about power. And I also want to explore this question. If, let's say, in a magical world, I gave you $80,000 of free money, which truck would you buy? Would you buy a fully optioned Tremor? It's a little bit less than $80,000. Starts under $65,000 for a Tremor. Or would you buy an F-150 Raptor with a V6, the twin turbo? So just think about that question as we move along in this podcast. Okay, if you're watching, you'll see something that's kind of dear to my heart underneath the hood of this truck. It's a V8. Yes, thank goodness. For 2024 and maybe even beyond, we don't know what's going to happen next year, but at least for this year, the 5-liter Coyote V8 survives in this truck. Several manufacturers are walking away from V8 engines in full-size trucks. Ram just switched over to the Hurricane lineup, straight 6 turbos. GM is still staying with V8s, at least for foreseeable future as far as we know. And of course, Toyota moved away from V8 engines in their Tundra. Same power levels for 2024, so 400 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, still a 10-speed automatic, a 373 rear axle ratio. So that's quite a lot of power. And this is the base engine. So if you just ordered a Tremor and you didn't select any options, just left it be, just the way it comes, it would come this way, as a crew cab short bed, 5.5-foot bed with a V8. If you wanted the EcoBoost, because maybe you're looking for a little bit extra torque, that's a small upcharge. I was looking online yesterday just to verify this again, And the online configurator told me it was $90, 90, to update, to upgrade, or to step up, I guess, to the EcoBoost 3.5 liter. That's almost nothing. It's under $100 option. So, of course, the EcoBoost gives you 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. So quite a lot more torque. But I appreciate the V8, I think, a little bit more in this truck, because V8 engines are getting more and more unique and rare in the current world. So having a V8 engine in a truck like this, I think, is quite special. And I would go that way. Like in the magical world, if I was given 80 grand of just free money to buy a F-150 for 2024, I would go with a V8. So you can kind of see where I'm leaning in some of my discussions here. I wouldn't choose this color though. It's antimatter blue, and it's kind of dark. And actually, the Tremor doesn't have a super fun. Sorry about the dust. It doesn't have a super fun color palette. There's avalanche gray, there's white, there's a couple of other silvers, there's black. There's no colors that really truly pop. And I'm not quite sure why that is. I know adding additional colors to a truck in the manufacturing process can cost manufacturer quite a bit of money. But I don't know, maybe in the future they could add some more colors. And if you want more different colors on the Tremors, write some comments here, and hopefully Ford will see it and they will maybe do something about it. Now, so we discussed a lot of it. I think it's now time to go inside, and I want to show you a lot of the tech. Some of it is brand new. Some of it is about the same. So let's jump on the inside of the truck. By the way, of course, it has side steps. And these are almost like Raptor style side steps. And that's kind of the last element that I kind of want to share on the outside. So let's jump indoors. So as soon as you open the door, you notice that this is a very luxurious truck. Like I said, it starts just under $65,000, and it already comes with a lot of equipment. And these seats you see here, well, actually, maybe not these premium leather seats, but actually the trim and this Tremor logos are inside of this truck. Once again, it's its own trim. Just stepping inside. And this one has a few options. I don't have an exact price tag on this guy, but it could be just over 70 grand for the truck as equipped as you see it right here. Now, how about you jump in and join me, and I can power up the truck and we can look at some tech inside of this puppy. I don't know if you could hear that. Well, you could hear the Ford chime, but I don't know if you could hear the rumble. There it is. I think that's worth a lot of money in 2024, is hearing that V8 coming to life. Now, I have 12-inch screens throughout. I have my infotainment screen in the center. Let me go back to my Onyx off-road maps. I'll talk about this in a second. And then 12-inch digital display here for the gauges. Now, every F-150 for 2024 has digital gauges. And something else new for this year is a heads-up display. I don't know if you'll be able to see all my information. It's usually difficult to show on camera, but you can kind of see this indentation right here below. And I have customizable heads-up display that's now entering the F-150 lineup for this model year. So I think that's kind of cool because I can see my outside temperature, my speed, my off-road settings, different information right there. in that place. Now, just a few words. Of course, I'm using CarPlay. It's available. We're off-roading in an area that I don't usually go to. So I have my Onyx off-road maps, and you can kind of see this trail is featured. It's blue. It's right there. And I can kind of know where I am. Now, I do have ventilated seats. I do have heated seats. I have heated steering wheel. So this truck is fully featured. It's got everything there. I also have wireless charger, so that's pretty standard stuff. Now, I have drive modes. So let me just go through some of the drive modes for you guys. So it kind of starts, actually, let me turn up the AC just a little bit because it is still very sunny, hot day here in California mountains. So it starts with normal, right? So normal mode is really two-wheel drive. By the way, I have some messages about my air pressures, my tire pressure monitoring system. We're about 26 psi. Just for this first drive event, the Ford team wanted us to air down, and we did. They helped us air down, and so the ride can be a little bit more comfortable. So that's pretty nice. And then there's several other modes. I think what's interesting is that almost like they're trying to simplify the off-road modes, which I'm a huge fan of. There is an off-road mode, and it says off-road use only, and it changes the layout of my gauge cluster with a lot of what I think is cool information. My tach now is on top. I have a compass, I have my GPS coordinates, my latitude and longitude, I have my elevation, which is about 6,800 feet above sea level. I have my system indicator with, it says 4 high with the rear locker engaged, and it's my inclinometers are here. I mean, that's a lot of information in one place, and I kind of like that. I mean, you can also kind of quiet it down and remove some of the data off of it. But it's kind of one, if you don't want to mess around with rock modes or slippery modes or, just different settings, you don't have to once you go off-road now. You can kind of select, this one off-road mode, and it will try to figure it out for you. It says rough, uneven, or mixed terrain. So it's actually enabling the locker automatically, so you can deselect it if you want, if you don't need the rear locker in that environment. And it can do most of that for you all in one place. And it says rock crawl mode requires 4 low. So I think they're making it a little bit simpler. Of course, there's tall haul mode, eco mode, which I actually love. Even though eco mode may not do a lot, I like for vehicles to kind of have it because I know I'm trying to maximize my efficiency, especially in places with super high fuel prices. And then sport mode. Sport mode actually puts me into 4 auto. This does have 4-wheel automatic setting on the transfer case. So it does have 4 high, 4 low, and 4 auto. And it's down here by my right knee. Also, my trailer brake control is here by my right knee as well, which is an really easy place to find it right here. It's very visible even when I'm sitting behind the steering wheel. I can directly see it. Now this truck is loaded with other features. For example, trailer backup assist. Okay, that's nothing new. It's been around since 2015 in various iterations of this F-150. It also has smart trailer hitch, which does a few things. Let me show that to you. It has a guide to help you set up your hitch, but also if you kind of get close to a trailer you're trying to back up to and your hitch is in your receiver, this truck will help you back up so it lines up your hitch ball directly underneath the trailer tongue. And that feature also exists on the new Super Duty and some other F-150s for 2024. So that's a very cool feature. It's also available on the F-150 Lightning trucks. That's very cool. It also has onboard scales. So it has height sensors and it estimates the current weight inside the truck. It tells me my current payload rating on this particular vehicle I'm sitting in, and it's 1,411 pounds. My videographer and my buddy Ian is here with me, so you can kind of see we have plenty of room left in our payload ratings, but it kind of is trying to estimate how much weight we already have in the truck. We have a tonneau cover installed, so of course that adds a little bit as well. So I love this feature because it also helps you determine your tongue load, if you're towing, or if you just have some heavy stuff in your bed. Has trail turn assist. This is a feature that's been there before. It says you have to be in 4 high. That's fine, and it basically will brake an inside wheel when you're making tight turns. And you can kind of see this symbol right here. You see those 2 circles by the rear tires on the display? Those circles appear when you enable trail turn assist, and it'll help you make a tight turn if need be. I try to use this feature sparingly because I don't want to tear up the terrain that I drive over. But if you're in a huge bind, if you're trying to make a tight turn, I think that's a really useful feature. Let me turn that off. That's only available in 4 high and 4 auto. Pro Power on board. It's a V8, but it still has, let me enable this. It has basically a 2,000 watt or 2 kilowatt onboard inverter. This is not like a hybrid level of power. Those hybrids have an optional 7.2 kilowatt inverter that's been there since 2021, but this system is still quite useful. Most trucks have 400 watt systems. This is 5 times more capacity for your inverter. You even have a 20 amp, 120 volt outlet right here in the front by the dash. I love having this. I used to now own an F-150 hybrid before I sold it about a year and a half ago, and I love that possibility of charging tools. I have electric lawn mowing equipment that I often bring around and charge, and powering either a car or your home in case of an emergency. I love that capability. 2 kilowatts won't power your house, but it may save you for a little bit. So I love that capability. Then, driver assistance technologies. This truck, believe it or not, is equipped with Ford's Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise is Ford's hands-free driving system that's a collaborative system. So it's a driver assistance system. It's not supposed to replace a driver once again. It's been around, but now it's a 1.2, version 1.2, so they've improved it, and this truck has it. So before, the Tremor, as far as I can remember, was not available with the Blue Cruise system. And now you have an off-road capable truck that has over 1,400 pounds of payload. It has over 10,000 pounds of towing. Now it has available hands-free driving that can make your road trip home maybe just a little bit more relaxing. That's at least the idea. A lot of people hate hands-free driving systems, and of course, it depends on your likes and dislikes. I think Ford, is working on this. Yes, there's some stuff in the news recently about a couple of accidents, but once again, you cannot go to sleep and let the truck drive for you because it will give you warning messages. It has sensors in the dash and the A-pillar of the truck watching your eyes. So it will give you warnings, and it'll try to, make you aware of the situations around you. So I tend to like these systems, but I think General Motors and their Super Cruise is a little bit better execution maybe as far as the smoothness of their system, but I think Ford is improving that, and we'll have to test it out a little bit more and see how they do, how this latest 1.2 system does in the truck, and not just any truck, but also an off-road specialty trim like this Tremor. By the way, Blue Cruise is not available in the Raptors. So also, this brings up a whole nother can of worms. Everybody loves modifying trucks, right? Many of you guys contact us and you write us messages about suspension lifts, bigger tires, any combination of things, additional lights, winches, side steps, rock sliders, hitch accessories, anything like that. Well, as soon as let's say you wanted to level out this truck, you wanted to put a 2-inch lift or a spacer kit in the front, and you're raising the nose of this truck. Now you're messing around with the camera system, so it may not work perfectly because it's calibrated for the current ride height of this truck. Now you're also potentially messing around with the radar sensors in the way they're configured and the Blue Cruise system that relies on it. So now, you've made your truck a little bit maybe slightly cooler looking, maybe a little bit more capable with additional ground clearance. Maybe you change the tire size, so now your odometer, speedometer are a little bit off. But it has other side effects. So this is going to be a really interesting time we're living through because people love modifying their trucks. Some manufacturers are already providing factory approved and warranted lift kits or accessories, and I'm hoping Ford will do more of that as well. I know it's going to be more expensive, but because usually when a manufacturer does it, they put it through a lot of testing and they also charge a lot of money for those parts. I know this, but I think it's about safety, right? So it's going to be a really important topic going forward about how do you modify brand new pickup trucks, or can you, or should you? I think that's going to be a very, very important topic going forward. Other than that, I think, this is quite an attractive package. There's a lot going on in this space. Ram has the Ram Rebel trucks in the same price ranges between $60,000 and $75,000 or $80,000. GM has the Silverado 1500 ZR2s in the same price range. AT4X trucks or AT4 trucks from GMC. TRD Pro trucks in about the same price range. So there's a lot of competition going on in the space. So it's a really important segment for truck manufacturers. So this is basically the latest Tremor in a nutshell. Now, how about this? How about we switch gears? Let me go to a different location and interview Carl Widman, who is the chief engineer of Ford Performance. And I really want to learn everything about the latest Raptors. And then I can come back and I'll ask you again, which one would you want to buy for $80,000? A Raptor or a Tremor? Let's go there. Carl,
Great to see you again.
We've met before. we talked about the Ranger Raptor, the Bronco Raptor. How many Raptors have you talked about?
Well, we have 3.
All of them.
All of them, right? And so we're here at Johnson Valley again, which is super exciting, right? To introduce the next version or the mid-cycle freshening 24 Raptor R.
All right, so I've read the spec sheet briefly, right? Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you added a little bit of horsepower and changed the dampers. Job done, right? Walk away.
Yeah. It's a little bit more complex if you want to get into the greasy bits of it.
I was trying to be cheeky a little bit because I know you've touched a lot of other components too. So can we go over, we have a chassis here next to us.
Yeah.
Can you kind of step by step kind of outline the changes for 24? Because some of my friends are calling me and they're saying, I have a 23 Raptor R.
Yeah.
Should I bother upgrading? And should they?
Yeah. It's a tough call, right? I love the 20. I love all my kids, right?
Yeah.
So what's important for us every time we do a Raptor, it has to be the best Raptor ever, right? That's the chinning bar. We're always going against ourselves. So we lay out the vehicle. It has to go faster off-road with more control, and it has to have new tech. So when we lay that out as our goal, the first thing we did was work with NTN on the inner CV joints. They were able to increase the capability of it from like 32.5 degrees to 35 degrees.
Yeah, let's walk back here actually because you can kind of see them a little bit better, right? So you can kind of see them down here, right?
Yep. And so in essence, that sets up travel for everything we do in the front end, is how much angle those CVJs can take at load. And so when they gave us that new tech, we were then said, hey, great, we can get another half inch of travel. So
and
we changed.
And you said the angle increased
By about 2.5 degrees. So now it's 35-degree angle.
Okay.
And you can see it's pretty wicked angle just sitting on this rolling chassis.
Well, this chassis doesn't have any weight on it, right?
So it's
kind of
basically
lightweight.
Yeah, towards rebound.
Yeah.
And so what you do is then you change the knuckle and you change the inner tie rods. And that gives you the ability to then travel the whole suspension that extra half inch. So we changed those. And then the next thing we attacked is we attacked the steering system because we knew we were going to go to dual valve. You can see we knew when we laid this thing out back in 21.
Okay.
And it clears this arm. This arm's basically designed when we laid this chassis out for the
lower A
Gen
arm.
3. Yeah. So we always knew we were going to go dual valve. So for us, when we get this control, because with dual valve, basically rebound control, as you roll the car or pitch the car, I actually can use 1-inch ounce now, electrically controlled jounce, but the other side I can use rebound. So I can get that control, and I knew I was going to have better control on turn-in for steering. So we went into the gear and we made a faster gear. It's now 16-to-1.
And this is the steering rack we're talking about here.
Yep. Inside there is basically, in essence, they call it C-factors in electric gears, but it gives you an idea of how fast a gear is when you say it's like a 16-to-1.
Okay.
And we don't have the eye shaft here, but the big thing we always have is as you're steering the car, you want to be more connected. And we knew our R shaft was kind of one of our things that was letting us down a little bit. So we changed to a ball spline. And that is basically has the ability on center, instead of what we had was a clover leaf, to drive the stiffness up. As you turn it, it's 60% stiffer all the way through, which then connects you clear to the road.
So is that like a little bit more precision?
Yeah, you got it, steering precision.
Okay.
And that's big for us as we go to this new tech on dual valve. So dual live valve, let me take a little bit of time to talk about it.
Well, before you do that, you said you improved travel by half inch.
Yep.
And that's on all 24
configurations.
Raptors.
So when you have a 35-inch, that gives you 14.5 in the front and 15 in the rear.
Those are pretty high numbers.
That's pretty high numbers. Yeah. If you trade up to a 37-inch, you lose an inch of travel. So you're basically at 13.5 and 14.
14, okay.
Yep. So with the 37s, we now pair it with dual valve to get a little bit more performance out of those applications. So that's both the 3.5 and the 5.2. And
yep, cool.
And the key thing about that is it brings in rebound control. So for us, that was a big innovation working with our longtime partners, Fox. You can see we had to redo the whole structure of it to set up the hydraulics in basically we call it the body cap. So to set up the pass, and then this is in essence what controls it. So as you put...
Okay, it's right here.
So that's what controls it. You see the copper here? And that's when you put a coil around, electric coil, it'll change, as you put different amperage through it, it'll change how far this pencil comes out. And that is a spool valve that controls, so we can actuate that hundreds of times a second. And that sets up kind of like a boost valve system, if you think about it that way, to really drive the hydraulic capability of that position-sensitive damper up and down depending on what you're doing with the vehicle. So
it can be a little bit, softer in certain scenarios and can be a little bit more stiff.
You got it. And so this is the not super exotic, but these are the two things that make it work.
This is the brain.
That's the brain.
Okay.
So the brain of the system's all new for 24. We have to take in, of course, 8 valves.
More inputs.
More inputs, more outputs.
Okay.
And so we had to redo this. And so our guys do the conceiving of it, do the software writing of it, do the calibration of it. So this system now has the ability, because we have ride heights on all 4 corners, and now we have control of jounce and rebound on all 4 corners. We can basically, as you went through the moguls, you noticed the vehicle was more poised as you went through it. You didn't lighten up the steering was pretty tight as you went through the moguls. That's because it can sense the mogul system and use the damping control to basically catch the tires going down, hold your pitch control front to rear by using rebound or jounce, depending on what you're doing, and making those decisions 100 times a second.
And this is your team, Ford Performance.
Yep, Ford Performance does this. We do it in the desert.
Okay.
We put our software guys,
And
just
we're in
your
your
experience,
backyard.
yeah, yep, in our backyard. So our software guys go through the same experience you had today, right?
Okay.
And they ride along, and that helps us a lot for the creativity on how to do the algorithm development, because the people who are doing the algorithm development know how to drive fast in the desert. So that really brings it all to life as you have all that power. We still have the big 5-link in the rear. We can put the power down.
Let's walk around a little bit here, I guess. And so we talked about the front end.
Yep.
Of course, you have your
Mechanical transfer case. Yep.
All that
Yep.
stuff. Front differential.
Yep.
And we'll talk about the engine
Yep.
a little bit later.
Yep.
Now,
So again,
the rear end.
the rear end, when we went to this on the Gen 3, I mean, it's right out of a trophy truck. I mean, you look at it, it almost looks like it came out of a trophy
Look how
truck.
beefy this section is, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this frame section
Yeah.
is really tall.
Right, and so Raptors now have a whole unique frame stub from, when we went to Gen 3, you can see the weld line. This is all unique to Raptor all the way back. And that's really, this part of the truck has been tremendously capable, and as you drive it, the rear end's always there for you. You get to turn in, you can put the power down because we got a 5-link now, the axle doesn't twist up. And so for that connectedness, a lot of our work was done on the front end to get you that steering connectedness and shock capability. We didn't have to do anything in the rear in this program. It's just so good.
But I've noticed something in the exhaust system.
Yes.
So on the V6 twin turbos,
Yep.
you introduced, when was it, 21?
Yeah.
You introduced the
Trombone.
the trombone and equal length. But I see this, is this now available with the V8 as well?
Yeah, so we come in late this model year, so we're kind of bringing it in as what we call a running change, because it's tied with a couple other changes we got coming on. So it'll be late availability kind of thing. It'll be sometime later on in production it'll come in.
Okay. And it's just, you're kind of looking for a little bit more
Always
sound
looking
or
for a little bit
different
more,
sound?
and then for us, there's a little bit of a commonization. So in the world of it all, it helps out some of our supply bases sometimes. We go across the board with a part.
And I just want to point out one more thing in the rear.
Yep.
You were able to hide the 37 underneath here.
Yes.
And look how tight, I was just noticing.
Yes, we do all our own designs, right? So these are all designed by us. And so we have the catcher brackets to catch the 37. And it is pretty darn tight, but that is what a Raptor is. It has a road wheel, right? It's a pure road wheel, ready to go in case you need it.
It's the same KO2,
Yep.
I mean, that you have on a truck.
With the wheel and even the bead lock.
Yeah. So you can swap it out. Let's talk about
What do you want to talk about?
that shelter green truck.
Yep,
Because
the front end.
this is the V6 power truck.
Yep, so the V6 powered truck, this is an 802 package. So it comes with a 37. It comes with, you can see it better in the back, but it comes with dual valve also when you get the 37s.
Okay. And then you have the 35s as well.
Yep,
like we
with
talked about.
35s is an 801, which will come with the live valve that we have today with the extra travel.
And,
All Raptors comes with a heads-up display, so you notice that when you're driving, and cluster's been modified with performance view. Front end, we pick up the headlights, of course the tail lights.
New
from the
design,
F-150,
yeah.
all new design. Grill is all new. It's all painted black. Studio guys are calling this the Power Weave.
Okay.
We'll look for nomenclature from your viewers. Modular bumpers, new. Center section for performance design this. Center section has capability with the Tremor to take a winch in aftermarket locations. And then we have unique, because we're wider than a Tremor, end caps. What we did was just make it as big as it needed to be to hold the rigid lights, and then brought it up as high as we could to clear the tire.
All right, let's walk outside really quick.
So the other cool thing is we wanted to bring along all the Baja trucks, just to state the point that everything we do on Raptor, both the Ranger Raptor, Bronco Raptors, F-150 Raptors have all run Baja. So this is the Gen 2 Baja truck. We store this at the Ford Performance Driving School. And of course, the Gen 3 that just finished up. This is actually ran.
This is a V8 power truck.
It's a V8 power truck with dual valve. Okay. So it actually ran the dual valve on the long Baja course, right? It was like 1,200 miles or something this past time, which was tremendously cool, right? We ran a Bronco Raptor at the same time we ran this. So we brought them along just to kind of state the point that to be a Raptor, you have to run Baja.
And just let's spend a minute here.
Yep.
By the way, we are in Johnson Valley and in California, right? It's one of your areas for testing.
Yep.
But you said, Baja actual race course running, and these trucks are modified a little bit with roll cages, some safety equipment.
Safety,
right?
you got fuel tanks.
But the running gear is the same,
Yep.
right? As a production vehicle.
Right. So the engines, transmissions, drivetrains, shock systems. We've been working to keep the shock systems the same so we can learn about the shock systems. Working with Fox, because we are different weights, we retune them because the fuel cells are ridiculously heavy.
And you have extra spare tires.
There's extra spare tires.
Yeah, you have
to respring it because of all the weight for safety.
You have a lot going on there, yeah.
But it's a great opportunity for us to get telemetrics on stuff, and then our guys support it because we are pretty much Ford Performance Motorsports guys, and us do that now.
Well, we have this truck here outside. I wanted to ask you, you raised the power level of the V8. What was going on there? Is it just mostly software? Or
so for the V8 power, to get to 20 horsepower, the 5.2 always wants more and more air. So we were able to make modifications to the front end to get more air into it and got to 20 horsepower. We were pretty happy with that. It makes it the most powerful truck there is, right?
Yeah,
bar none.
Well, that's makes noises and explosions.
That's right.
It's making
the internal combustion motor.
It's making the good motor, the good noises, right?
That's right.
And you can kind of hear it in the background. We have a lot of trucks running around us right now. We're here at the first drive event.
Yep.
And it's a ton of fun. I also want to point out you have a couple of previous gens.
Yep. We thought we'd bring along one of the rare Gen 1s that hasn't been modified. So this is actually the last edition.
Does this belong to Ford or an employee or somebody?
No. This is one of the ones owned by Ford Performance and our marketing teams. So this is actually, someone told me, the last run of the Gen 1 with an appearance package.
So this is a shorter extended super cab.
You got it.
6.2 liter V8, first gen. In this beautiful red color, and it looks as if it just left the factory.
Yes, we've been holding on to this one for a while. We thought we'd bring it out to give people a chance to look at it. It's where we started, where we've come from. We'll do once in a while, we'll drive it off-road and a Gen 2 with live valve. So that's the original live valve we did in 2019.
Oh. Okay.
This is a 19 because it's when we brought in live valve to the truck.
Okay.
Because it was in essence, the mid-cycle of Gen 2. And it's a lot of the reason, when you think about it, you want to have a stable platform to do a big shock project. And this is a 19 model year. When we brought in live valve initially.
I remember, I think we were in Utah for that event.
Yep.
At the Raptor school.
Yep.
So there's a lot of pedgree. There's some history here.
Oh, absolutely.
So what, almost 15 years?
15 years, you got it.
Yeah.
We didn't put a badge on.
So let's 15th anniversary. So let's review, right? So because at the top I asked the question, if you do have a 2023 Raptor R or maybe just a Raptor F-150, so you touched a lot of work on the front end, I would say, right? So you did improve the travel, which is important, right? If you're leaving air, leaving the ground, you want that additional support, right?
Yep. The front, on the F-150 Raptor, the front travel is always the biggest thing, just like on a Bronco, that's the rear because we got the cat, the person over the second row. So front is always a big thing on the F-150. You notice it at all three configurations of the truck. I think what you also notice, when you're driving it, the steering is a lot more precise with the dual valve and the steering gear. So that would be, the thing you would have to consider, right?
Bump in power.
Little bump in power.
And of course, more just control overall, right?
Yep. The dual valve makes a big difference.
With the suspension.
Tech's a little bit better. You get a heads-up display. Depends what you're looking for. I love them both. But I do know people who are choosing to trade in their 23 to get a 24. So I have heard of that.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time to come out.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Wow. It was so special, not just to talk with Carl, but also to see the original first gen F-150 SVT Raptor, the second gen, the racing trucks that they used for testing in Baja, and all the latest 2024 trucks as well. So remember, I did not give you a $110,000 budget, because $110,000 is what the Raptor R costs, but it has a supercharged V8 with 720 horsepower, and that's just, I think, next level stuff. We have a full driving review off-road of the Raptor R, so if you stay tuned for a few more days, it will be available for you to watch via oldtfl.com, or maybe an early special look. Well, actually, no, there cannot be a special look because it's embargoed, but you'll be able to see it on our TFL Off-Road channel very, very soon for Raptor R. But I gave you a budget of $80,000. And that means you could buy an V6 Raptor, or that's plenty of money to buy any version of F-150 Tremor. Which one would you do? I'm leaning towards here. I'm leaning still towards F-150 Tremor, because for my lifestyle, I have a 6,000 pound boat, plus all the usually payload, and also my family and my friends who often come with us to the lake. So towing is very important to me. This has over 10,000 pounds of towing capability. And it's also not super wide like a Raptor is. It still has probably plenty of capability for what type of off-roading I do in Colorado, which is kind of narrow trail or narrower trail off-roading. So I'm leaning still towards the F-150 Tremor for those reasons. Payload capability is a little bit greater, towing capability is a bit greater, because the F-150 Raptor is rated between 8,200 pounds and 8,700 pounds. And then it's a little bit more affordable. You don't have to buy all the fancy stuff. If you don't want Blue Cruise, you don't have to pay for that. And still get something a little bit more value that you can get. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you go all out and you want that latest Fox shock suspension and you want to spend more money, or would you go this way? Thanks for joining me on this special episode. I'll see you next time. Hopefully Nathan can once again join me for the next episode of TFL Talking Trucks. Thank you for your support. I'll see you next time.